Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining our webinar today. On behalf of the entire PaintShop Pro team, we're very excited to introduce the all-new PaintShop Pro 2020 and PaintShop Pro 2020 Ultimate, which launched just last week. I'm really excited to get started to walk you through just a few of the new and enhanced tools and features built into this version. Before we jump in, I wanted to remind everyone this webinar will be recorded and will be shared with you in a follow-up email you'll receive tomorrow. As a special thank you to everyone who is attending this webinar, I'd like to offer you a 20% discount on the purchase or upgrade of both PaintShop Pro 2020 or PaintShop Pro 2020 Ultimate. And this is for a limited time, which is just until the end of the month. Links to redeem this excellent deal will be in the follow-up email tomorrow, as well as any necessary instructions. I can tell you this is a version you will not want to miss out on, so take advantage of this discounted price while you can. Now I'll start us off with a little bit of an overview of PaintShop Pro 2020. This version was really inspired by so many user ideas and user feedback. We love hearing from you, so please continue to tell us as much as you want to say, and we really love knowing what you like and what you might not like about the product and how we can improve your overall photo editing experience. It's really important to us to make sure you have a voice, so keep the feedback coming. What was our focus for 2020? It was really all about making the product smarter, faster, and more versatile to allow you to edit your photos and create your design projects with ease. We've developed some intelligent new features to help you do this, and we've accelerated the performance and speed in some of your favorite tools, all with the goal to enhance your overall workflow and efficiency. What's new in PaintShop Pro 2020? There is a heavy focus on progressive and intelligent new tools. We've enhanced some of the tools you might work with all the time, like the text tool, and we've added some new capabilities to allow the product to be more adaptable to your work style. I'll demo all of these new features in just a few minutes. The last thing I wanted to mention before I do jump into the demo is what's included in PaintShop Pro 2020 Ultimate. This is really an amazing bundle of products this year. It's a collection worth over $400 US. And included in that is the all-new GRFX Studio, which includes hundreds of popular photo effects that you can quickly use to customize your artwork. Parallels Toolbox, which includes over 30 utility tools. It's all about efficiency, and it helps to replace the need for multiple apps on your computer. Photo Mirage Express, which transforms any static image into an animation in just a few minutes. Painter Essentials 6, which allows you to paint and draw and sketch from scratch in a very welcoming digital environment. Corel Aftershot 3, which is Corel's raw photo editor, and a Creative Collection, which is a bundle of dozens of brushes, textures, and backgrounds. Okay, so with that taken care of, I'm going to jump into PaintShop Pro 2020 and start us off with our demo. And now as you launch PaintShop Pro, you are greeted with the welcome book, as you can see here. And we're starting off in the Get Started tab because you'll notice one of our new features here, which is a new option for a workspace and the all new photography workspace. Now we're really excited about this new workspace because you can select which workspace you want to work on based on your skill set and based on the type of project you'll be working on. This new photography workspace was created and designed with touch devices in mind and was introduced to help users work as quickly and efficiently as possible. So I'm just going to select the photography workspace and give you a quick tour of that to get us started. If you're looking for a really simple and intuitive space to make impactful one-step photo edits quickly, this is the workspace for you. And as you can see here, we get a pop-up that says this workspace is touch friendly. And you'll notice that by the large buttons and icons around the user interface. You'll also notice that this workspace has a very welcoming feel. It's very uncluttered, as to not make a new user perhaps feel a little bit overwhelmed with all the tools and options that are available right from launch. As you can see here, there's a couple of give it a try files that are built right into the interface. And these were built in to offer a learning resource to new users. So once you're comfortable with the tool set that's available in this workspace, you can very easily and naturally transition into the other two workspaces PaintShop Pro offers, which is the Essentials and Complete Workspace. But I'll show you quickly what these give it a try files are all about. So we simply click on the file, and it is telling you that this image particularly allows us to learn about vibrancy. So under the More drop-down, we will select vibrancy, and you can see there's a very simple interactive slider. And if we increase the slider, we can see just how impactful this very simple edit can make on our photos. I'll show you quickly the other give it a try that's built in here, which is called Light and Shadows. And this one allows you to experiment with fill, light, and clarity. So again, we go and open the fill, light, and clarity interactive slider, increase the strength to our preference, and we see the amazing impact in just a few seconds. Now you can easily switch between workspaces as usual by selecting File, Workspace, and let's jump into the Complete Workspace now to go over some of the brand new intelligent tools. Now close out this file. And I'll bring in an image to show off our first new feature, which is called Smart Clone. Smart Clone is a content-aware cloning tool, and it lets you blend a source selection into a new background very seamlessly and allows you to integrate multiple elements of multiple images into one. I've opened this image here of a bride with a fairly large tattoo on her shoulder, and I'll select the new Smart Clone tool or press D on the keyboard. And what we want to do here is remove the tattoo from her shoulder. The first step after selecting the Smart Clone tool will be to select a source, which will be about this area on her shoulder. I'll select. And in terms of our selection types, we have three options. We have ellipse, rectangle, and freehand. As you can see, I'm just working with the freehand here. And from the selection, I'll simply click over our destination, which is the tattoo, to seamlessly, in just a couple clicks, remove it. Now to reselect, simply press Escape on your keyboard, and you can reselect a smaller source shape to get any parts of the image that were not selected. Now, as you can see, in just under a minute, we've very seamlessly covered up this tattoo. Now what I'll do is bring in this image once more, and I'll show you another really fun functionality of this new tool, which is the ability to save a preset. Now we're going to do this the exact same way, but this time I'm going to select the tattoo itself with the freehand selection option. And in this drop down here, we'll click the Create Smart Clone Tip from Selection. And now we can save a preset, name it whatever you'd want. Select OK. And now we can bring in another image. And since we've selected it as a preset, we have the ability to manipulate the size and rotation. Now I've brought in another image here So I'll reduce the size by quite a bit. And we can also play with the rotation, but it looks pretty good just as is. And the last option we have here is the mode. We have 3 options for mode: original, blend, and black and white. Now, original maintains the most of the original source color. Blend blends the source selection into the new destination, and it merges both of the colors together. And black and white essentially desaturates the source selection. In this image, or this example, we're going to select blend just because the way our model is positioned, there's quite a bit of a shadow on her back. So we don't want this tattoo to come out too light. And now just with a simple click, I'll zoom in to really show you how well it's worked. We've created a very original looking tattoo that really does work with the contour of the shape of her back and shoulder as well. And now this is a pretty unique example of how you would use a preset. Another more streamlined example might be if you have a landscape image with something like the perfect cloud in the sky or the perfect tree or flower or something that you want to preserve and use later. This would be a great option to take a selection, create a preset of that perfect cloud so you can use it later on in your projects down the road or however you please. Now there's one more example of the Smart Clone tool that I'd like to show you, and it's a little bit more of a unique example. Now we've all seen the quite popular photography trends going around for the past year or so that really play with surrealism. And I'll show you how we can create a very surreal piece of artwork or photograph in just a few steps rather than in previous versions. It would have taken quite a high level of skill and quite a bit of time to create something like this. Our source selection is going to be this tiger face here. And we are going to start off again with the freehand selection type. And we'll create a selection. As you can see, I'm going pretty quickly here. I'm not really taking my time. And you don't really have to. But if you want to make it a little bit more refined, a little bit more perfect, you can take a little bit more time to do this. But for the sake of the demo, I think it'll work just fine. Now I've brought in my second image here of a woman, and we'll increase the size of our tiger's face. That looks about right. Adjust the rotation just a little bit. And we're going to keep the mode on original. And with a simple click, our selection blends into the destination to create this very surreal and interesting looking piece of artwork. And you can do this with any type of images. You can even go way more creative and select several different images and integrate them all into one to create something that would have taken perhaps hours to create in previous versions. This new tool is all about having fun and creating very creative and interesting projects with ease and a whole lot quicker than you used to be able to before. And that is the all-new Smart Clone tool. Next, we're going to move on to the all-new Refine brush. The Refine brush feature lets you fine-tune the edges of a selection to pick up details like hair or fur that have been notoriously difficult to select in previous versions. Now, to engage the Refine brush options, we'll start by using any of the selection tools from the selection toolbar. And I will start with the Smart Selection brush, but again, you can use whatever you prefer. The goal with this image will be to change the background. Now this is a pretty common task that you might turn to PaintShop Pro to do, to remove the background in any style of photo. So we'll say that's what we want to do here. And I'll use the Smart Selection brush to select the wolf's head here. And now, as you can see, we have a new option, which is the Refine Brush button up at your top toolbar. And when we select it, a whole new palette of options appear. The first option we see here is Preview. And this is simply based on what colors are in your image and how you're previewing your selection to see the edge best. Overlay, as I'll show you here, creates a red background. Black has a black background, of course, white, a white background, and there's black and white and transparent as well. But I think we should stick to overlay for this example. Now the next option is brush mode. And the first button under brush mode is refine. And then this invokes our brush tip. And we can use this interactive slider to select how large we want our brush tip to be. And to be very honest, this is usually as far as you'll have to go. Now I'll show you just with a very quick brush around the edge of our selection. And you're brushing over the edges that specifically have those fine details. So it tells the tool these are the areas that need a little bit of extra help because they have those fine details that are very, very difficult to select typically. Now we also have an add and remove. Add, of course, just allows you to add a new area into your selection, and remove removes an area from the selection. I'll just show you how it works here. Now I'll just add it back because we don't actually want that in here. Okay, and now here's a great example where we can go back, use our refine brush, and get the edge of his nose right as close as possible. Okay, that looks great. But if it doesn't and you want a little bit more help to really fine-tune those edges, you have these sliders below here: smooth, feather, border width, and expand border. And these help you get really down to the very, very fine details if you're not totally satisfied with what the brush tip can do for you. But I think this looks great. So let's go ahead and select our output, which again, you have 4 options: selection, mask, new mask, and new mask layer. I'll stick with selection, hit apply. And there we go, we have our selection. And what I'll do is copy our selection and bring him into a new background. I'll open this new image to bring him into a new background. And paste him in here. And you can see how much easier it will be to create those design projects or edit your photos or do something that should be simple, like changing the background on an image. And now with the Refine Brush tool, it really is. And you can see all of those fine hairs here that we would have likely never been able to select before. And now they are selected in no time. There we go. That's our Refine Brush. Now the next tool I want to show you is an enhancement to a tool that you might be very familiar with, and that is the text tool. The text tool has seen a complete overhaul to both its speed and responsiveness. It's such a commonly used tool in PaintShop Pro and an essential component to creating any graphic designs. To best showcase the improvements, I'd like to share a side-by-side screen capture video of PaintShop Pro 2019 versus 2020. And I have this pre-recorded, and you can also reference it from your welcome book. I'll take you to it this way in case you want to watch the entire video, because I'll just show you a quick clip of the side-by-side. And if we click on the Improve Text Tool option in the welcome book, it'll take us to the Discovery Center. So I just want to play you quickly the side-by-side comparison so you can see just how much faster it is. So this is showing us with a 10,000 character insert, PaintShop Pro 2020 is over 3,500% faster. And now to edit any of that text insert, so for example, deleting 200 characters, that's almost 800% faster. Again, inserting 10,000 characters into shapes like a rectangle or ellipse, over 2,000% or almost 2,000% faster. And then making edits like changing the color or making the text bold, that is approximately 200% faster, as we can see here. And to such a commonly used tool, this really makes the text tool a whole lot easier and more responsive to use. And I invite you to watch the whole video when you have some time, and that, as mentioned, that can be accessed through the welcome book and also through paintshoppro.com. Okay, let's jump back into our complete workspace. And now I'm going to move on to another new feature which has to do with layers and is the ability to copy and paste layer settings that we couldn't do this before. I'm going to open a very layer-heavy document here. And there's so many layers in this image because, as you can see, there's a lot of glow and light effects to all of these light bulbs. And it can often get quite time-consuming to go into each layer, and especially if you're making the same adjustments or settings in multiple layers, it can be pretty time-consuming to go in and have to do that over and over again. So I'll toggle this layer on and off so you can see what it actually is. It's this third light bulb here, and it's a glow effect to that light bulb. Now I'll right-click, go into Properties, and I'll change the settings a little bit. I'll add more of an outer glow in a color that we can really see. And I'm doing this just to make it a bit easier to see how easy it is now to copy and paste these layer settings from one layer to another or to multiple. Okay, so you can see this blue outer glow that I've created. Now to copy that, very simply right-click, copy layer style, right-click, copy layer style, and we're going to go down and find the second bulb, this one here, and right-click, paste layer styles. And you can see in just those 2 clicks, we were able to copy and paste, duplicate that layer style very easily. So imagine we had 10 of these light bulbs and we wanted to do that same edit 10 times. It would just have taken 10 times as long, right? And the whole point here is that we want to help save time so you can work more efficiently and with more ease and more intuitive and adaptable workspace. Okay, let's move on to the next enhanced feature, which is related to depth of field. Now, creating a depth of field effect can produce some very visually appealing images. And we do this by selecting a focus area and a not focused area. And depth of field is really something you can take a depth of field effect right from the photography stage, right from your camera. But if you have an image like this, that, having a depth of field effect to maybe this sailboat that's way in the back would really elevate the creativity and visual appeal of this image. We just wanted to make it easier to accomplish this and allow the ability to have much more precision than you did in the past. So I've selected our crop option, which opens up our crop toolbar, and we have the depth of field button on the end. And now, as you can see, this enhanced precision grid. This is a 5x5 grid, so you really have 25 options to select your point of focus. Now in this image, I want to focus right on this one sailboat. I think that'll make a really nice final image, a really nice effect. And that just so happens to be right in the middle. So we'll select the middle grid and we can adjust the blur, make it stronger or less strong. Now we can get really creative here and enhance the blur quite a bit to create more of a bokeh effect, which is a little bit more artistic. Now depth of field is a little bit more conservative. So I'll reduce the blur to about here. And the size looks just about perfect, but you do have the option to make the size of your focus area much bigger or much smaller with this slider here, as you can see. But I'll scale it back, minimize it to about here. Now when you're happy, oh, it's a bit small. There you go. When we're happy with the selection, just select the apply button, the green check mark. And here we go. It's subtle, but you really see the unfocused area. And if we zoom in, we see how focused that main sailboat that we were aiming for is compared to the other ones, which creates something really, really visually appealing. Okay, the last item I wanted to talk about is new creative content. Now we know at the very core of PaintShop Pro is creativity. We know all of our users are very creative people and love working with the creative content. So we make it a point to introduce new brushes, new color palettes, new gradients, patterns, and picture tubes in new versions. And we've done just the same for PaintShop Pro 2020. Now to access all of this new creative content, as for new brushes, we can see all the new brush tips by selecting the brush option in our tools toolbar. And under this drop down here, we can see all of our new brush tips, which are really fun to use, something like Starburst. And of course, we can make it adjust the size, adjust the color, and adjust the opacity, and really just have fun with it however you choose. Picture tubes, this is the icon for picture tubes, and there are 50 new picture tubes in PaintShop Pro 2020, like this fun lightning. You can see here, it's a little bit small. There we go. And in terms of color palettes, we can see the new ones by selecting the drop down on the standard palette, and we can see all our new color palettes here, and double click the color swatch and the materials palette, and we can see the new gradients, patterns, and textures that are here for us just to quickly and easily amp up the creativity in any of our projects. To see a full list of the new creative content, we have a PaintShop Pro 2020 Creative Content Guide built into the Welcome Book for you. And you can access that in the What's New tab in your Welcome Book by selecting New Creative Content. And it'll direct you to this PDF that shows you all the fun new creative content for you. And you can scroll through that and experiment and really have fun with these new options. And that concludes the introduction of PaintShop Pro 2020. We really hope you loved what you saw. And just to reiterate, tomorrow you will be receiving an email with a link to this recording, as well as links to redeem your 20% off discount on PaintShop Pro and PaintShop Pro 2020 Ultimate if you'd like to purchase. Now is the time to take advantage of that while it's discounted, and that discount will be available to you for anyone that attended this webinar as a special thank you from the PaintShop Pro team until the end of August. So again, thanks everyone so much for joining. We hope you love PaintShop Pro 2020. Bye now.